Mr. Bloxham here, making choux buns for year 10. First thing, I've got the questions here as well, which you'll need to fill in at the same time. So you need line paper and just write 1 to 23 down the side. The first one is what flour is used. Well, the flour is strong, it's got a high strong gluten content to save the collapsing, to save the profiteroles collapsing. Number 2 on here, measuring water. Now on here, according to this, it says it looks like it's 200. Right, this is quite an accurate measure. You have to have this balance. It's just under 200 there. This one here, these measuring jug, this 200 on here is really hard to see because you can hardly read it, right? So this one's a lot better, but even better is the scales because 200 millilitres of water is exactly 200 grams. But this is 185 in here. That's going to go straight in my pot. This is enough for 3 eggs. When you're making it, you're doing enough for 2 eggs, which would be 125 millilitres of water, 50 grams of butter, but now I've got 75 because I've got more. Now you need to bring it to the boil. Now to save this so it melts quite quickly, I'm just going to cut it into 4 because I'm speeding it up. Do not let it boil too long, otherwise you're going to lose the water and evaporate. I've already sieved the flour, by the way. I don't always sieve it, but I've sieved it because it looked a little bit lumpy, so I've sieved that. And that strong flour, you'll be using 65 grams. I've got roughly 100 because I'm doing 1.5 times. So I'll put my oven on, 200. I've got a piping bag here. So I've got a plastic tube. You need a plain nozzle for this. I've got a metal one here. This one's very small. This one's a bit bigger. So you roll the bag down and you put in here. Let's see what the other question is. Oh, how much would 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres of water weigh? That would weigh exactly 1 kilo, which would be 1 litre. Because every measurement is to do with water, by the way. That's why water boils at 100, freezes at 0. Everything's made around water. And obviously it boils at 100 at sea level. Obviously at the top of Mount Everest it would boil a lot cooler. Even a pressure cooker it would boil a lot hotter. That's why pressure cookers work. So that's an easy way to put it in here in a minute. So that's heating up at the moment. I need to top the sink up with hot soapy water while I'm waiting. I've got 3 lots of chocolate here, but I'm going to explain that in a minute. So how many millilitres or grams in a tablespoon? A tablespoon is a large one. 15 for the tablespoon. That is number 4. Identify 2 health and safety points to follow when making choux pastry. So the pan shouldn't be like that, the pan should be this way. The handle shouldn't be over the other heat. When I finish I should turn it off. If it's got a metal handle, maybe use a cloth on it or be careful. Make sure you have them all out. When you finish, turn it off. Don't touch the side of the pan obviously. Don't use a metal stirrer, you should use a plastic stirrer. They're the main points. So this is a question that's in one of the mock papers, by the way. State 2 methods of heat transfer. So there are 3 altogether. Radiation, conduction, convection. But radiation is grilling or microwaving. We're not doing that. Conduction is the pan gets hot and then the liquid gets hot inside, like frying an egg, frying a steak. So there's some conduction. And the other one is convection, which is anything that's heated up in water or oil is convection. Also an oven is convection. So convection and conduction. So this is boiling now, but I don't want to add it until the butter has melted. Now this is the most important, this is where the people would make the mistake. They put the flour in, don't stir it enough, and it's lumpy. So I have to put all the flour in one go. So I'm going to put my oven top on here. I do like a trivet so I don't burn the table to show you this. As soon as it comes to the boil, make sure there's no liquid in there. Sorry, no butter, where there's not. So there's no butter. I put the flour in all in one go. And just make sure it comes to the boil. You'll be able to tell when it boils because it's bubbling. I'm just going to make sure it boils. So it's definitely boiling. As I can see the bubbles in here. Flour straight in, all of it, right? That's most important. Now you have to be careful here because you don't want to burn yourself or scald yourself on it. But now I have to stir it and beat it before it gets any lumps in it, right? Quite often when people do this, if you're in the class, we'll get it lumpy straight away. And as you can see, I'm going to come and show you on the camera. There's no lumps, no bits of flour in it. That's the right consistency. I'm going to heat it up for 1 minute on the stove. So let me see if I can show you that with the camera. There's no lumps in there. Let me see if I can show you that on the camera. Where's the camera? There's the camera. So there's no lumps in there. Do you see that? But I'm going to heat this up for 1 minute. Right? till it leaves the side of the pan. You don't have to do that, but I normally think that cooks the flour out of it. Next couple of questions while we do that. Heat transfer, convection, conduction, that was number 6. Explain why the mixture must be thoroughly beaten when making choux pastry. This is a 6-mark question, so there's a lot here. So 1, so there's no lumps in the flour. 1, so all the mixture is incorporated. 1, because we're strengthening the gluten in the flour, there's gluten on it, a bit like kneading pastry. So make sure it's well incorporated. Make sure the flour's cooked out. There's a few reasons there why. That was number 7. So you might have to pause the video and go back to that one because I see any hard questions. State 2 qualities of an uncooked choux bun. So they're going to be golden brown. That's what they look like, and the texture, they should be light, very light and fluffy and hollow. There's 3 there. So this is done now. It's left the side of the pan. As you can see, it's left the side of the pan. Yeah. Left the side of the pan, that's done. But now I can't put the eggs in straight away, otherwise they will scramble. So I'm going to think that's the next question. Let's have a look. What raising agent is choux buns? So they rise, there's no self-raising flour in that, and I'm going to put this, to cool this down quickly, I'm going to put it in my metal bowl, right, because metal will cool down quicker, because that's like conduction, because it's metal. Now I need to turn it off. That's one of the safety tips, turn it off when you finish. And don't put anything plastic on there or paper. Now in here, to cool it down even quicker, you could just put this on really low for a bit. Just leave that for a little bit. But I'll turn it off because that's a bit noisy, but that will actually cool it down. So that's going to cool down, but I can't put the eggs in straight away. So now I'm going to crack the eggs. You'll be using 1.5 eggs for this amount. So I need another little bowl out. I'll use this bowl here. And I'm going to get myself a bin. Ready to put the eggshells straight in the bin. So I'm going to use 2, I'm going to try 2 eggs and put a 3rd in if I need it. You're going to use exactly 1.5. If you put 2 in, which is, it could be 2, depending how big the eggs are, it might be a bit runny, so don't have it too runny. So I'll whisk these up first. Now, just for an extra thing, this is they've got 2 different types of eggs here. So this has got a number 3 on it, so that's the cage 10. These ones are free range ones. These you will have a 1 on. So if you can see these, you can see they're different sizes as well. That's a medium egg is 53 grams, rough from 53 grams. So let me see how heavy these ones are. These ones are different sizes. So it does, that's 72 grams. This one is about 57, so that would be a medium, that would be classed as a large. So when they're talking about eggs, you know, normally as a standard rule, a medium egg, that's between 53 and 63. Over 63 I think are large. That's not one of the questions on here, be left in that. What raising agent? So the raising agent is essential physical raising agent because it rises through the steam. What happens is the choux buns get hot and the heat rises and it forces it upwards, and as it gets up then it sets when it's cooked, and that's why you need strong flour, even though it probably wouldn't be much different. So I reckon that's cooled down a bit now, and I'm going to start beating this in. I'm just going to let it cool down a tiny bit longer, but not too long, because if you're in a rush, normally I'd make the pupils clean up now. How do you tell when the choux paste buns are cooked? I'll be explaining that one again in a minute. Basically, you'll take them out and you drop them. If you take them out early and they look golden brown, they can collapse like a Yorkshire pudding or a souffle. You need to let them set a little bit. There's a few ways of doing that, just making sure they're cooked. Drop them on the table and they should make a little sound. If they don't make a sound, then they might collapse. Maybe I'll try and take one out early on purpose to show you one collapsing and one not. So these are right for the egg now. I'll definitely need all this egg. I'm going to cheat here by using the machine. This is called a freestanding machine. Yeah, I definitely need 2 eggs for this, maybe 2 and a bit. A little bit more. Now, I reckon I'm going to risk only using 2 eggs. Yeah, it might need a 2 and a bit. You'll only need 1.5. So if you only need 1.5, I should have 2.2. I reckon this is the right consistency now, so I'm only gonna, don't have it too runny, otherwise they do collapse. That's just so important. So squeeze it up. Now if you're beating this by hand, it will take you quite a while. You can't use a normal machine. This freestanding machine, you can do other jobs at the same time. This machine doesn't like little amounts, that's why I'm being a bit dangerous lifting it up. Don't do that, that's a bit dangerous. That's done, basically. That would be the equivalent of you mixing that up for about 10 minutes, by the way. So this, we're beating it up. Scrape all this off so we don't waste it. This is a little bit, I'm definitely not putting any more in because this is on the verge of being too runny. If it's too runny, I see people pipe it sometimes and I think, oh, that's likely to collapse if it's too runny. But if it's not wet enough, it won't rise. So you get your jug like so, then you save yourself a hand go. And this will make loads. This will make 40 probably, even more. I've made more than you guys are going to make because I'm going to make some different types. Now you can deep fry this. If you deep fry it, it's very similar to churros. Actually it tastes better than churros, not so chewy. Called Béarnaise, a famous French dish. Churros are real famous, but they're not as famous for some reason. But they're really good. You deep fry them and sprinkle icing sugar and stuff on them. They're really good. So a bit like donuts or churros. So this has got egg in, but churros doesn't always have egg in. So this, so get it all out, as you can see, don't waste any of the choux paste. Now, if we would do this in the class, if it wasn't the COVID, we'd be sharing the piping bags, but you'll have to use your own for the, if you'll do it, if we're allowed to cook for this. So push it down, right, then we push that down, wind, spin it, so it doesn't come out the end. Then I wind that round my thumb. Now I'm going to move the piping bag here. Now I'm going to make some chocolate eclairs and profiteroles and some other things. So the first one is profiteroles. They're going to be all the same. And as you can see, there's a little peak on them. There's a way to get rid of the peaks. There are a couple of ways to get rid of the peaks. I've got some things here. So there's one thing you can try is this and cut it. Right? There's a different way as well. With a wet finger, you can push it down. If you don't push it down, then you're going to get a little burnt peak there, right? So now I'm going to just do a few more without the peak, just going to show you a few different ways. If you're going to deep fry them, then I do the scissors, or I do it with a knife another way. You can just do it, and there's hundreds of ways to do this. So there's some profiteroles, there's 15 there. I'm going to make some eclairs. So they're going to be about 5 inches long, so it's about 12 or so centimetres. Depending how big you like them. You can make these matter. Now, I'm going to make a thing called a Paris breast here, which is a ring, and it has ground almonds on it. Not ground almonds, flaked almonds. Now I'm going to make a couple of choux buns. They're going to be bigger. Yeah, and then these are called choux buns. They're normally bigger. You can have any shape. Now you can make a thing called swans. They're really good. So I'm just going to get these in the oven to show you. So these might take a little bit longer, so that's why I put these on a separate tray, because I don't want to take them out, because they're going to, if I open the oven, it's going to let all the heat out. These are going to be cooked quicker, so they're going on the top shelf. Just going to do a couple of more eclairs. Just make one Paris breast. Normally a bit bigger than that, but try and make these nice and even. Yeah, you could make a thicker, take the tube out if you want them really thick, but they will swell up to about thicker than a sausage. They just go straight in the oven. About 15, more than 15 minutes, but I'm going to put the timer on. Hey Google, set timer 14 minutes. Now they're not going to be cooked in there. I might even do one for 12 minutes and take one out on purpose so it collapses to show you. Now I'll put the oven on reasonably high, just over 200. With ovens in this room, if I put them all on 200, then we'd all be cooking at slightly different times. So you have to be aware of that. So you can also make a swan shape. So a swan shape would be about this size. And I've got some little, you have to make a little head. Let's see if I can make a little head. I have to be careful of this because it's going to burn. You don't normally put them on a separate tray. So in a piping bag, let me make a couple of piping bags. I've got some swans. See, if you look up online, and you look up Choux swan, you'll see them, they look really good. I've made these, are real complicated, so you can have a go at making these if you've got the 2.5 hour lessons, but if you've got the 1 hour lesson, you just have to make the plain Choux buns. So I'd have to make a slightly bigger piping bag. I need to cut the end off quite big with this, not like for chocolate. Cut the end off the same of the size of its head. That's going to be its head, so I'm going to put a little bit in here. Just going to make one. I might not be able to make this because normally you'd have to make a few because these burn very easily. So this is going to be a neck of one here, but this is definitely not going to take so long. So I've got a template for this next door, but I think I'm going to be alright with this. So this is going to be like a head of a swan, right? Maybe while it's cooking I'll quickly go and get it. And you can even put an eye on it, so I might make 2 here. I wasn't going to make this and I suddenly changed my mind because I thought I wouldn't have time. We're going to fill this with cream today, but for real high marks you need to fill it with pastry cream, which I might share the recipe with you. So these aren't going to take too long. They'll be cooked in the 14 minutes, but these won't be. So they put them in, shut the oven door. Now try not to open the oven door too much. If you do, it's going to let all the air out and they might collapse. So the other thing I could have done, to show you a trick, too late now because I don't want to open the oven door, where your watch is. So you can scrape all this down. When they come out, I'm going to put this in. So I'm not going to open the oven door. Just going to show you, got a little bit of paper here. You can get loads out of here. So, and the other way to get this bit out is you push it out with your thumb. See, I'm going to get another 2 profiteroles out of this. So this is one thing that people say, very wasteful, and they'd be leaving all that in there. So, but I'm not going to put them in yet. So you'll need to make sure that you'll have plenty of time. Obviously, if we're in a real rush, like in an hour's lesson, then you have to be sometimes forfeit some stuff. But today we should be, when you're making it, you should be fine. So as you can see, I've got it all out. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to put that in for the minute. That's all finished with. There's a little bit left in there. And you can do the same with the cream. When you put the cream in there, you can do that as well. You can just have it in your hand. It's easier for you guys, you get an extra hand. So that's all finished with. This just gets washed up like normal, but you'll need to take the nozzle out when you wash it up. There's a lot of washing up in this, especially with chocolate, because I've got 3 different types of chocolate, so I've got 3 different bowls here. These are all on. So that one's finished with, rubbish in there. These I want to make some piping bags. The scissors are dirty. Everything goes in the washing. So next thing is the clean up phase. So as you can see, a wall leg here. So cloth, dishcloth for the table, hot soapy water. Normally we'd have to scrub the table, but if you can get it all off with a cloth, that's okay. But normally if you're making floury stuff, you need to give it a good scrub. So it's nice hot soapy water. Then I'm going to dry it with a dry dishcloth if I've got one. If I haven't, I'm going to use a bit of bits of paper towel, but normally you have dry tea towels, but no one's got them out. Dry the table. Still a bit damp, another one. Then we can sanitize it at the end, but I haven't finished yet, so I'm going to sanitize it later. Yeah. So I'll give it a quick sanitize, make sure there's no food around when you're sanitizing. You can only see this end of the table. I've done the whole table, so hopefully I'll just make sure that you can see what you can see. Okay, so hopefully you can see the table just about, yes. So we've got the machine, we've got it all cooking. So now another 3 things that you can do. You're thinking, what can I do now? The chocolate's melting. You need to fill the cream up before the chocolate, by the way, otherwise you get all chocolate on your hands. So the cream has to go in before the chocolate. So that's a secret there. So I'm putting these all on number 3. And we're going to do a few questions and we're going to do something else at the same time. So let me see where we're up to. That's all done. Now normally you guys are going to wash up now and we whip the cream up for the whole class and the chocolate will be done for the whole class. You just take what you need. And then obviously if we're doing the COVID, we'll have to do it soon. Only I will be touching it for you, I'll dish it out. Or you can microwave yours, but then it burns. So we're going to do the next question. So we're on number 10. How do we know when they're cooked? They'll be golden brown and you drop them and they should make a biscuity sound. How much fat does double cream have? Oh, so double cream has about 47 to 50% fat, depending on what make you guys. Should we have a look to see what is good on here? On here, fat, 51%. So it's normally from 47 to about 51, 52. Some mates have slightly different. So this will whip up easily. You only need to be about 33, 32 to whip up, which is like whipping cream. But this works out cheaper. So what we do is, this is about, the big ones are 600 mils. I think this is a 300 mil one. Let's have a look, see roughly what it is. 300 mils it is. I'm going to whip the whole lot up. So that's 50% fat in that. So it's a lot of fat. Cream's not very healthy, but I've got a bit of milk here. I'm going to put some milk in. This is semi-skim milk. I'm going to put in, I can put in, this is the question on here. Oh yes, it says here, how much fat? So between 47 and 51, this one is 51, and there's 300 mils in there. So there's 150 grams of fat in there. So there's 3 eggs worth of fat in there, by the way. What did I add to the cream before I whipped it? So this is some semi-skim milk or milk, and this makes it cheaper. You can buy whipping cream, but whipping cream costs the same as double. So this works out cheap. So I put roughly 45. It will take a little bit more than that, but I'm going to make sure it does whip up. Nice big whisk. Now, I'm going to put some vanilla and sugar in it in a minute. That's going to flavour it, right? Now, I normally put icing sugar in it. I normally put icing sugar in it. So, what is it? Let me have a look how we're doing on the questions. What 2 things add to the cream to flavour? I'm going to add vanilla and some sugar in a minute. What is the cream called once I've added the 2 ingredients? That's called chantilly cream, and we're on to number 14 so far. Because later, if you're just writing them down, you can just type them straight into the work later. Do not leave this unattended, because if you over whip it, it turns to butter. Piping bag, hopefully this one doesn't fall out. Because these piping bags stretch, that'll be okay. I can go in there like the jug, or you can do it like in the jug like I did earlier. So I'm going to go in. Now I'm not going to leave that unattended, because if I do it's going to whip. So one thing I haven't got out is the vanilla, so I'm going to quickly get that out. So, I normally put icing sugar in it, but you could put some cast or granulated in it, but normally the icing sugar does it. So I normally whip it up first, but I normally whip it up first. So I've got a nice big pot of vanilla here, nice and cheap. A little bit in the cap. Real vanilla is okay, but very, very expensive. Over £1 for one vanilla pod, which I think is quite expensive. So I wouldn't recommend that, to be honest. I'll try and keep the cost down. So 1 tablespoon of icing sugar going in a minute. Now, the other thing you can have here is a thing called pastry cream, creme patissiere, which is made with egg yolks, sugar, and flour and milk, and it's like a thick white custard, a little bit yellow because it's got the egg yolks in there. Now on the bake-off, and in France they use it a lot. In England we normally just put cream in it, but for a higher mark in the exam, pastry cream would be even better. Really whipped up. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of icing sugar, tablespoon. Oh, careful. Now this should be for peaks. Luckily I didn't put too much milk in, otherwise it doesn't actually whip up. As you can see, it's reasonably thick. You don't want it too thick, because as you pipe it, then the liquid comes out of it. So you have to beak it, and that should taste good chantilly cream. And it's like sweetened vanilla cream, so it tastes a little bit like ice cream in effect. So that's done. To get this bit of cream off here, put it on the cap, and then you don't waste it. This goes straight into the hot soapy water, and you lot will be washing up at the same time. I'm going to do it at the ends because you don't really want to see me wash up. What did I add to the cream? Then that was 13. Number 14, what is the cream called? That's chantilly cream. 15. How did I heat up the chocolate? And what is the English translation? So heating up the chocolate, I've got the bowls of water with the bowl with the chocolate in. It's called a bain-marie, spelled B-A-I-N-M-A-R-I-E. I think that's correct, and it's called water bath. So my French isn't great, but that's a water bath, and then it stops it burning. You can do it in the microwave, but then you can't do anything else at the same time, and often you burn it. So I'm turning these up a bit, because they're not going to be too long, because I'm going to, so we're right there all on. Now I've got 3 spoons here to stir them, and then I put them back on the paper so I don't dirty the side. So, so number 15 is how did I heat up the chocolate? A bowl over a pan of hot water, but do not let the bowl touch the water, otherwise sometimes the chocolate can go a bit funny. Most chocolates, now we've used the cheap chocolate, so I normally use the Smart Price chocolate, but rather than the Smart Price, they gave us this by mistake, which is the cheap white chocolate, and this cheap chocolate here, and that's like the equivalent of another supermarket cheap chocolate. We only ever use the cheap stuff to save money, except this one here. Now this one is quite expensive. This is ruby chocolate, so this is the red one here. If you can see that, there's like red little chips, bit more expensive, but they don't sell that in the supermarket. So we've got 3 different colours because it looks good with the 3 different colours, I think. So, but not all. I made a mistake here. This was one of the questions. The Paris Press, I was meant to put some flaked almonds on it, but I forgot to do that. A bit late now. As because I was following the questions, and I should have had that on earlier. So the ring called the Paris Press, normally it's, you put them in, they go golden brown in it, but I won't put them on today. What 3 chocolates did I use? So white chocolate, dark chocolate, and ruby chocolate, which is the red chocolate. So dark, milk, and ruby. What is it called if you want to keep the chocolate crisp? Very important when making Easter eggs. What is the maximum temperature? So this chocolate, where this is like decent confectioner's chocolate, if you have a look on their website, really good. They've got people called chocolatiers, and they make some fabulous stuff, so I'd recommend you do that. Now actually on the side of here, it actually tells you this. I'm going to show you this. It's roughly between 28 and 32 degrees. So let me show you this on the side. Don't know if you can see, that's got the temperatures here, and it's got the little graph on here. So you don't really want to heat it more than about 30 to 32. Otherwise, if you make an Easter egg with this, and there's different chocolates have different temperatures, but it's roughly about 32 degrees, depending what make of chocolate. It won't be crispy, so you make the Easter egg, and then it looks like it's set, and it will be all limp. And that's because it's the crystals, it forms the crystals. Now, if you heat it up too much, what you can do is put some chocolate in there. You don't have to worry about this, and I won't be tempering, and it's called tempering, by the way, quite complicated, but we do make Easter eggs. And we'll be back for Easter, and we'll definitely be making Easter eggs. That's one thing we do, and we do need to temper the chocolate then. What is it called to keep? So it's called you temper the chocolate. That's very important. What is the maximum temperature? We're going to say between 30 and 32, but you need to read different types of chocolate slightly different. Hey Google, off. So now, this is the mistake pupils make. They either take them out too early, so they call your mouth out ready. Do not take the whole tray out and show me it, especially if they're not cooked. So I'm just going to take one out. Now if you're going to take one out, you can take one out with a spoon so you don't burn yourself. But I'm going to have a quick look, and I'm going to show you one of them. Oh, these look done anyway. These are actually probably done. So you take one out. Oh, the head is done. The heads are done. Take them out. So I was going to take one out just to have it slightly underdone. These ones are done because I can feel them crisp here. So let's see if you can see them. Oh. Where's the thing? Just going to get where's the camera? Let me have a look where the camera is. Is that the camera there? Oh, the camera's there. As you can see. Now what I'm going to do, they're nice and golden brown. I can feel they're nice and light, right? And I've lifted it on the table. You might not be able to hear it, so I have to be nice and quiet now. So you can hear it. Don't know if you can hear that or not, right? You see, oh, drop one on the floor, that one's no good. So these are definitely done, so I'm going to take them out. Yeah. Are these ones done? These ones are a bit bigger, they're still done though. Sometimes if they feel soft, then they're going to collapse, but they do need to make the noise. So I'm just going to show you that. I know they're done because I'm used to picking them up. Now I'm going to weigh one just to show you how light and fluffy they are. That could be my head for the swan. Right, now this one here, to cool them down, because I'm going to cream them any minute, just put them in there. This is hot, so this is red hot obviously. Put it straight in the water. If your sink is empty, you can put them straight in the water and nobody will burn them. So do not leave them on the side. Now the other one is not done obviously, so what I might do is try and take one of them out too early on purpose. Let me see if I can do that. Now this one here, that one might collapse a bit, so I'm taking that one out on purpose. Now this one feels a little bit soft in the middle. I can feel it in the middle. Now obviously I'm touching it straight out of the oven, but it don't feel too hot, but you won't be able to do that. So that one might collapse. So hopefully that one will collapse. I'm going to leave that one there so it might be able to collapse. Now these are the four. Now this one here, where these are bigger, these could have maybe been a little bit longer, maybe a tiny bit, because these ones, let me do the noise. You can hear this. This one is a little bit soft there when I push it, so maybe I could have left that in for a bit longer, but I don't want to keep you waiting too long. So the chocolate's all going to get stirred up quickly. Yeah, now I can turn them off because it doesn't have to be too hot. So I'm going to turn them all off now, and I'm going to do 2 minutes. Hey Google, set timer 2 minutes.
Okay.
So now let me have a look, because then the others are going to be done by then. Yep. This one's not quite done, but it will carry on melting in its own heat. Those are all done. Now I've got teaspoons for a reason, because I can put them straight in the piping bag for something. I like putting them in a piping bag. Now I need to cool these down a bit before I fill them with cream. So if I was in a real rush, I could put them in the freezer or the fridge. But I'm going to do some questions with you while I'm waiting instead and show you how to make some piping bags. So this will only make very small pipes. So I'm going to make 3 piping bags, or at least 2. So I'm going to do one with white and one with ruby, because I'm going to do some feathering. Oh, I know what I was going to do as well, one of the questions. I've got some coffee here. This is my favourite flavour. So we can make some coffee. And I've got a bit of boiling water, and I can take a bit out of the bain-marie. I'm going to get 1 teaspoon of coffee and a couple of teaspoons of water. And I'm just going to make enough for 1 choux bun. Definitely my favourite. I love coffee. Yeah, so I'm going to get coffee flavoured choux buns. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of boiling water for the coffee to dissolve. 1 and a bit heat teaspoons of granulated coffee, or you could use fresh coffee, but if you made fresh, you'll have to make it really, really, really strong. I've got a coffee machine over there, but I'd have to make it really strong for that. So make sure it's all dissolved. There's still a little bit on the spoon. So I'm going to scrape it off the spoon. I want it nice and strong, otherwise it's going to be very weak, right? Depending how strong you like coffee, obviously. So I've got another 1 minute in there. Now icing sugar, normally need 4 times as much icing sugar as water. So I need at least 2 or 3 of these, I reckon. 1, 2. Now that might be my choux buns are done. This one's starting to collapse a little bit on this side. You see it's collapsing this side. These ones shouldn't collapse, right? Now what you can do, Alexa, off. If you're making them at home and you're not in a rush like I'm filming them for you. Alexa, off. I said Alexa, it's Google. Hey Google, off. I've got an Alexa at home. So this is quite strong coffee. Do you see that might be a bit strong for you guys? That's darker than you'd get it in the shops, I think, but you know, I like it quite strong. So you don't have to have that, you could dilute it a little bit if you're a coffee fan. Maybe your mums and dads are more coffee fans than you. So let's have a look at these again. Now that's going to be looking like the swan. That's the Paris breast. And that's the other type, choux bun. Another thing for the choux bun, you can put like a metal cup over the top. That sometimes helps it rise so you get it really fluffed up. Yeah, so I'm going to put those in. Hey Google, set timer, 12 minutes. 12 minutes. So what some people do with these, I haven't, you can try this. I don't normally do this, they normally work. Some chefs prick this with a cocktail stick and then put them in the oven and it lets the steam escape. That's one little secret. I don't think that's one of the questions, but you can do that. Some other chefs put a tray of boiling water in there. Now what I might do is, when we're cooking this, I might make 3 different types when you're making yours, and I'm going to do them different ways, if you know what I mean, and we're going to see if there's any difference, which will be good. That's called an NEA1, so we do that in year 11, but it won't be on choux pastry. They won't be that mean. They'll be doing it on, we've done it on pastry, scones and cakes before. I don't know what it will be like next year. Only comes up on the 1st of September. So cream. So putting the cream in here, you can do the jug situation again. I'm not going to fill them quite yet, because I'm letting them cool down a bit. So if I was in a real hurry, I could leave them, but put it in here. Quite a lot of cream, that will do easily this amount. And like I said, pastry cream would also be good. So on the day we're making them, if you've got a 2.5 hour lesson, some of you can make some pastry cream. Grated a little bit of orange zest in it, in the pastry cream, give it a good orange flavour, really, really good. So I've got some icing sugar for decoration here. So what else we got? Oh, chocolate. So chocolate's ready. Let's have a look at the next questions. Number 16, what 3 chocolates? We've done that one. That was the ruby, dark and white. 17, what is it called to keep the chocolate crisp? Tempering. How do we add the cream without holding the bag? Oh, that's putting in the jug. That's easy for you guys, so don't fall out the end, but you can do it. What is my favourite flavour? I like the coffee. What famous shapes could you make? So the famous shapes is the swan. So it doesn't look much like a swan, but it does look a little bit like a swan when I've decorated it later, if I get time. What did I write on the plate? I haven't written that yet. Number 20, what is my favourite flavour? That's no, number 20, sorry, that was the coffee, so I might have said that at the wrong time. So number 20 is, what is my favourite flavour of choux bun? What famous shapes can you make? That is, 18. 18 is about how do you add the cream without holding the bag. That's put it in the jug. What did I write on the plate? I'm going to write something in a minute. I'm not sure what I'm going to write. You could write happy birthday, happy new year, Merry Christmas, anything you write. So I don't have to be careful about writing a long word, because then I might not fit it on there. What is my favourite flavour, which is 20, which is coffee? What famous shapes can you make? A swan would be really good. Or you could say the Paris Brest, which has got the nuts on it. What did I sprinkle on the ring? And what is it called? Oh, that's 22. So I should have sprinkled the almonds, but I didn't. What is it called? Paris Brest. And what is the long one called that I made? These ones are called eclairs, by the way. Now these ones definitely could have been cooked a bit more, because they feel nice here. Now they could have been, if I wasn't doing the filming, I might have left them and lowered the oven down a bit, so they go a little bit more crispier. So these are nice and hollow, and I did say I'd weigh one, didn't I? So this, an egg, is 50 grams. This is going to be way, way less. They look nearly the size of an egg. Put it down to 0, and that is 5 grams. So I'm going to see if I can show you that on the camera. 5 grams, that's only 5 grams there, because it's nice and light. So that would be one way, depends how big they are, obviously. So as you can see, they're only 5 grams, yeah? And it's pretty roundish, but I reckon they would be slightly better if I dried them out a little bit. They'll be fine for today, but you don't want to take them out too early. So I'll leave the camera over here so you can see them all, and I'm going to cool them in a minute. Now, you need to let them cool down before you cream them, but I'm just going to do a few now to save you wasted. So I'll tell you what I'll do while I'm waiting. I'm going to make the piping bag, and I'm going to write something on the plate. So I'll be asking you this, what to write. So I'm going to write, let me think what I'm going to write. I'm not sure what to write. There's loads of things. I would write Happy New Year, but I'm going to struggle to be able to write that on there. So if I'm going to type, I've got some different colour plates. So the 2 things I like the most are black slates and white plates, the rectangle ones, right? So when you serve it up for your exam, if we're going to do this, serve one lot up on the black plate and one lot up on the white plate, and then we can see the difference between them. So if I'm going to write on the dark plate, I need white or pink chocolate. On here, I need the dark chocolate. So I'm just going to get a bit of the pink chocolate. Yeah, and I'm going to write, oh, I tell you what, I'm going to write the word Choux, because most people don't know how to spell that, because obviously it sounds like it's an S, but it's a C. So I'm just going to, now I can cut the end off this with the scissors. Yeah. So C, and you can write stuff people love, you can write your name on here. Choux. Just makes it look, so I'm going to write Choux. There we are. So I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if you can see that. Ooh. There we are, Choux. So you can spell anything you like, happy birthday, put your mum on it, anything you like. So now pink could go on any place. So I could do a little heart as well. Look, I can draw patterns. Everybody loves hearts. So I can draw some little hearts on there. Oh, put mum. Yeah. Oh, I could have put Kirsty, my technician's name, on there. Mum. So anything you like. A little couple of kisses. Yeah, that would be good. Maybe you could make them and poke mum on it, and she'd like that. Or dad. So the next one is now I'm going to poke them. Now you do need to let this cool down. On the day, if we've only got a 1 hour lesson, we could. If we've only got a 1 hour lesson on the day. So there's loads of ways to make the holes. You can either cut them in half. Some people cut them in half, right? That's one way. Another way is, but don't do one at a time, like cut one and paint it, cut one, you have to do it all. So I'm just going to make a few holes in a few of them with a knife and spin it round. Now if you've got a metal nozzle, I don't know if you have jam donuts, they have machines to fill the cream. Now I've got a little piping bag somewhere to do that. That's one reason I've got the metal one in. You can sometimes push it in there, right? Now I'm going to fill up these need to be filled from the ends, the chocolate eclairs. So these are eclairs ones, and profiteroles normally have runny chocolate sauce, and then you'll need to put sort of sugar or cream in it to make it a bit runnier so it's sticky. But when we make it here, you need to take it home so it's not too sticky, so we normally just put the melted chocolate on the set. So you just fill these, push it in here, push it in, and you just fill it up till it starts more or less coming out. So fill the holes up. With the metal nozzle as well, I can sometimes push straight through. I'm only going to do enough to do the 2 plates. So 2, I'm going to do put a fold in with a hole in with your finger or with a knife, or with a piping bag, or cut them in half. That's loads of different ways of doing it. These Choux buns, I was going to do the coffee one with this, because I said I like the coffee, obviously. Now this one, it started to collapse a bit, so it's not quite hollow. Now if it's larger, the larger it is, the more cooking they need, obviously, yeah? And that's the one I took out a bit early. This is the swan, which I might do at the end if we get done. Now today, I thought you had a 2 hour lesson, but I can see you've only got a 1 hour lesson, and I've set enough for you to do 2 hours. So we're going to, might have to change that. You won't have to be able to do it all, obviously, yeah? But this will be taking me way less than an hour, and you know all the answers, so it should only take you 10 minutes to type up. And next week, this week, you're meant to make this or make something else, but you can't make it without checking with your parents, and you need a parent or a carer to do it with you, because I don't want you burning your house down or having an accident. So you need to make sure that you've got some adult supervision when you're making it, even if they're not in the kitchen with you, but they need to be in the house. So I think I filled a few up. Then I'm going to do the different chocolates. I'm going to move the chocolates over here to show you. Now, what I should have done is, like I said earlier, I'm doing a few more than I thought here, is make the holes all in one go. That's going to be quicker. Then I'm going to make one more. I've got some chocolate in here, which is okay. Now I might get some white chocolate as well, and I need to put it in the piping bag first if I'm going to feather it. So I'm going to do one feathering, and then I'm just going to drizzle some over the top. So you don't actually have to feather it. Drizzling looks nearly like feathering. So I'm going to be over here so you can see. This one is for the white one. So I'm going to put some dark chocolate, and then white chocolate in this one. So white chocolate, as you see, I've got the teaspoons ready. I hate tablespoons for this chocolate because you can't get them in the piping bag. So I'm going to do a feathered one first. So that's going to be a bit more complicated than just dipping them in. So I'm going to show you some more high-tech things to do. So So I could feather the nice big choux bun, so I'm going to do one coffee one, and this one's going to be the feathered one. Or I'm going to feather the thing. So the first thing, I need to dip this in the chocolate. So bring the chocolate over, just to show you how to do it, and you just dip it in the chocolate. Yeah? The little ones are easy to dip in, by the way. And as you can see, look, we've got the chocolate, make sure it's all nice and covered. Voila. Then we put this one on here. Now I'm going to get the white chocolate straight away. And this is going to be feathered with white chocolate. Now I can just leave it like that, but then I run the knife through it. Hopefully you can see this, guys. Now you don't have to do all the different coloured chocolates, maybe just white and dark, because you're 30p a bar each. Look, that's feathered, a feathered one, that would look good. Now I'm going to feather one of these ones here, so I'm going to feather this one, dip it in white, and then feather it with red, so I can go with different things. Oh no, we'll do it like white and dip it in red. Or, dip it in red. The only trouble is it's hard to dip the long ones in the red, because they're so much bigger. So this one's on here. So then I get the white, and you need to do this straight away, especially if you're doing it with icing. So I can put it in this way, and you don't have to feather it, but feathering, we did the bakewell tarts if you remembered, for the exam, you know, little practice exam type thing. Ooh. I think the white and the dark one looks far better than the red and the white one, by the way. That hardly looks feathered for some reason. Maybe the chocolate's very runny, so that doesn't look quite so good. So it just shows different colours do make it look different. So the next thing is we're going to do some little ones now. So the little ones, normally most people like this sort of chocolate, and you can fill it. Oh, and the other thing you can fill these is caramel cream. You can buy jars of caramel, or make the caramel and mix it with fresh cream and fill it with, like, so you can have toffee ones. And then you could put toffee on top. You can get some like raspberry coulis, make some raspberry coulis, liquidize some raspberries. Now in a restaurant, I worked in a restaurant 1990, way before you were born, and it was £2.65 and they only got 4 of these. How about that? We're a bit tight. I reckon 4's a bit tight. That's all we used to give them in this restaurant years ago. Probably cost the equivalent of £6 now in today's money. Now with this, you can either do the red, yeah, or you can do the white, yeah, like so. Don't know if you can see that. So there's some different ones there. I'm going to try and feather one of the other ones because I think that would be slightly better. That one I didn't think it was that good, so I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do the dark, and then the white feathering. Now the fan's just gone off. I turned it down earlier, because in here that was quite noisy, so I don't know, next time I have to make sure I turn it off. I just turned it down thinking it wouldn't come on, but it did come on because I just realised it's gone off again. So the white didn't work very well. Oh, sorry, the red didn't work very well. I wonder if the red's going to work on the dark. Let me try that one. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do double. I've got a good idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do white. And if we make them at school, we'll still be making these when you come back, hopefully. So you can't just do a pattern like that, but I love the feathering pattern. Ooh. There we go. Let me see. Oh, coffee, my favourite one here. So I'm not allowed to have this actually. Maybe I'm going to have half of it because I'm meant to be on a bit of a diet. I was all right when I was nice and young like you. This has to be not too runny, not too thick, otherwise it's just going to break up, guys. So if you go to Asda's, now you've probably never seen these before. They definitely sell these in Asda's. I've bought them from there before. Choux buns, normally they make nice big ones. I didn't want to make it too big. As you can see, a coffee choux bun. That's the Paris bread. Normally this has ice and sugar on. The other way, so you can just sprinkle them with ice and sugar. So they look a little bit like a donut. And if they're deep fried, they're nice with ice and sugar. Now we're going to do the last thing. We're going to make a swan. Cut down so it's got the wings. Separate it a little bit so it's got, these are meant to be like the wings, or you can cut the wings off a bit like a fairy cake. And I've got the proper things you can copy. You just put it on the paper and you just go over the top of the template. So I might quickly show you them in a minute. So they're going to be the wings. We get a little bit of cream. Put a little bit of the cream in. And you can serve them on blue jelly They're the wings. Then we put the head in. And I'll tell you what we do. We'll give it a little red eye. Watch this. We could have given it a beak as well. Let's see if I can give it a red eye. And we can make a little bit of a beak. We can put that in there like so. And then we can sprinkle that. I've got another plate here. Just going to bring that over another plate. And we can sprinkle that with icing sugar. Don't normally put chocolate in those ones, but you could salad them on a blue of, meant to look a bit like a swan. I think I could have maybe done the head a bit more like a beak. So I'm just going to show you all these here. Let me get another one on. Move this out of the way. Let me just, that's the Paris breast we're going to put on there. Then we're going to put the coffee one on. And the feathered one. And then that's about it then. So I think we've got all the questions. So what I want you to do is only do, you don't have to do the homework. So today's lesson, you only really need to do this today, fill these in. But for the homework, you need to do the 3 pages. Now, I won't be able to, I've got year 11s at the same time, and I'm meant to be doing them first, I'm afraid. So I might be able to join you. And if not, I will try and join you. So you might not be able to get on the meet, but you just have to, and we'll be making these, and you can make these. The recipe I've attached, and you just make them best you can and upload the photos. And this is a homework, but if you can't make this because your mum says you can't, or you haven't got the ingredients, or any reasons why, you can make anything. You're meant to be helping your mum or dad out, or your carer, once a week, and upload me a photo, because that will keep your practical skills up. So as you can see, I don't know how long we've been. 51 minutes. See, and you won't have to make that many. You just make some nice simple ones if you will. So as you can see, it could be easily done in the hour. Thank you.